Hello, everybody. Welcome to this new edition for the first time, the Ecomcy Live Lab. This is a new initiative I wanted to bring to the table with my team. As you can see, some of my team members are here with me, Ricardo, Madalena, which then I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. But the initiative is very simple, guys. Every single time I go out there and speak to sellers, they come to me with a lot of questions in terms of, what is happening in the space, what are the latest trends when it comes to PPC, what are the latest trends when it comes to Amazon, should I go beyond Amazon? And that's why I want to make sure you guys leverage our expertise as a team to make sure that, hopefully we can add value to you and you can have a successful journey on Amazon and beyond. So now I'm going to open the floor. And by the way, before I open the floor to Ricardo and Madalena, I want to remind you guys, this is a live session. So the opportunity here is for you to ask any questions. Make sure you drop it in the comments. We're going to receiving all those questions in the dashboard, and then I'm going to bring them on the screen. So feel free to ask anything. Like, there's no such a thing as a stupid question. You can ask anything, and hopefully we can answer that for you. So I guess let's start with women first. Madalena, you want to go first and give us a quick introduction about yourself and what you do in the team? And then we go in Ricardo. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'm Moderna. I'm the head of PPC here at Ecomcy. We basically take care of your campaigns and all that struggle behind the advertising, making sure your tacos is in line with your objectives, profitability is, in line with your objectives as well, and sales are going in the right direction. We basically work with account management and ensuring basically we've got good conversions, we've got good click-through rate and so on to scale up your business.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sure people are gonna ask you a lot of questions in terms of how do I make my tacos lower. So I'm looking forward to hear those strategies, and hopefully we can help some of those. So Ricardo, word to you. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, very nice to meet you, all of you. This is, you're right, the first of 2025 for these
Yes, that's right.
live sessions. Hopefully, we're gonna get more often, and we're gonna start doing this for all of the community. I'm Ricardo. I'm a account director in Ecomcy, in charge of some of the US and UK based accounts, some of the Europeans as well, and in charge as well of the programs of international expansion that we have in Ecomcy, that helping US-based clients to bring products to the European market, or the other way around, UK/EU-based companies who want to expand the business in the North American market, no, namely US, Canada, or Mexico. So yeah,
Awesome.
that was
Thank
me.
you, Ricardo. Yeah. Great. So, as you guys can see, I try to, bring you to these sessions. And as I said, this is the first one of many. What I'm going to try to do is bring you different expertise. In this week, it's going to be all about, international expansion, PPC, but hopefully I can start, bring you all the different kind of areas that you need to master when it comes to successfully scale your brand on Amazon. And that's really the goal for this kind of type of content that we're trying to put out there. We really want to give back to the community. We work with a lot of brands, and trust me, we go through a lot of troubleshooting on a daily basis, and we just want to save you some time and hopefully make sure your journey is as smooth as possible. So what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start bringing some of the questions to the screen. Okay. Of course, as I mentioned, feel free to ask any questions. In fact, if there are certain things that maybe sometimes are a bit more personal in terms of certain issues when it comes to your brand, and maybe you don't want to mention it, feel free to also drop us an email at business@ecomcy.com if you want to have a more tailored kind of overview. But happy to always add value. So we have here some comments. Daniel from Zaragoza, Spain. Thank you, Daniel. Pleasure. Thank you for being here. And here we have, let's start bringing some of the questions as well. We have some questions here. And let's start with the first one of the day. We actually have a couple here. So I think the first one we're going to start with, and I think this is something that I'm sure Madalena is going to enjoy. It says, my accuracy is super high and lowering the base hasn't helped. What else can I do? Interesting.
Ooh,
Yeah.
how long do you have? How long can we talk about this? So there's a lot of different things we can do about this. Um, First of all, what kind of match type is your target? And do you have more than one keyword in the campaign? So there's kind of like a checklist. As I said, one, do you have more than one match types in your campaigns? If you have the target in broad phrase, essentially check that you've negated the search terms that would have not performed well. If you combine more than one match type per campaign, do separate them in order to get more flexibility when it comes to negating, because essentially if you have the same target, so let's say you've got shoes for women that you put in broad, then if you'll have exact for shoes for women and you negate shoes for women in that particular ad group, then you will also negate the exact, right? So in that scenario, you don't want the performance for shoes for women to be negated, and you want to move that into another campaign to be able to control it more with bits. So that's one part, right? Match types and negations. Then the other part, check placements. Have you done everything when it comes to placements? Have you lowered your product pages? Usually that's the one that's performing lower than most of them. Sometimes top of search could also perform quite poorly because of higher cost per clicks, and I'm talking a lot about this, am I right?
No, no.
So
I
there's
think it's super valuable. Yeah.
Because it's a
um,
very, very difficult questions. This is something
Yes.
that everybody's been talking on in the Amazon business for the last years. TACO's been super high, and sometimes agencies or consultants focusing on just on the tacos and forgetting about just on the
Exactly.
ACOs and forgetting about tacos conversion as well. So at the end of the day, any business, including Amazon business, is a business where you have to make money. So I
Yeah.
think that what you're saying, Madeline, is going to be super valuable for our audience for sure.
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think to also add some value here is we have to be mindful that just as Madalena briefly mentioned, like things have to do with echo. Sometimes there's a lot of technicality that can be fixed, as you mentioned, the structure of the campaigns and type of targeting. But sometimes it could be down to the product. Like sometimes the product is not a good fit for the market you're selling in. Maybe the market is too saturated, your price point is not right. Maybe there is another 15 people selling the same product, so you have to also be honest with yourself, understanding where your product is being displayed across the marketplace, and see if you're actually having your best face forward when it comes to potentially targeting these clients. And if that's the case, why it's not working? Most of the time it comes down to us having an offer issue. So it's not always about maybe you doing the PPC wrong. It's sometimes the product, and you have to be able to recognize that. Yeah. Hmm.
exactly. And I was just gonna add on that point, essentially the KPIs you want to track to see if you're going in the right direction for that particular product. We're talking here kind of helicopter view for the product.
Hmm.
Our click-through rate, is your click-through rate lower? So essentially, has your relevancy been up or down? Is your conversion rate lower in comparison to how it used to be and how to the market? Do you convert lower than your competitors? And then you can check brand analytics and see if it's your issue, as Vincenzo was saying, or if in fact it's like kind of a market issue at this point.
Yeah. So now we have actually another question. This is going to be most likely a question that Ricardo is going to like, which is pretty much a little bit around expansion. They're asking me here, like, are all the Amazon marketplaces the same? I'm
No, they're
guessing
not.
what they're referring is like
I
what you
suppose
do.
they mean it's
Yeah.
like if I'm selling, I don't know, in Spain, for instance, talking about our guest in Zaragoza, I'm gonna be able to sell the same product in Germany.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be able to sell the same product in France or the UK or the US. For the big answer is no, not all the Amazon marketplaces are the same. It's a direct correlation to obviously the population of the country, being, as you can imagine, the US the biggest market, but the most competitive one, and really depends as well the cultural aspects. Actually, there's a product that maybe you some of you know is an alpaca wool jumpers that is extremely popular in Germany. The volume is 10 times bigger than the same volume in UK. Although Germany and the UK are very, very similar, there's a German, the German market is more into alpaca jumpers. That is the UK market. For cashmere, it's the other way around. I
Yeah.
suppose it's because the tradition of Commonwealth countries, India,
Yeah.
Nepal, Pakistan, stuff like that. So are all the same market. So if I sell in 100 in, let's say, US, I can sell the same number or the similar number or proportionate number in UK or Germany. No, maybe it's going to be more, but it's going to be way less. You have to check. And actually, I can see that you are recommending our link to Helium 10. You can
Yeah.
use tools like Helium 10 to know exactly what's the search volume in that specific market. I'm just talking in general. I'm not going to go into details of compliance and taxes and other kind of regulations. I'm not talking that. I'm just going to focus on market to market. Are they different? Yes, they are. They're very, very different.
Yeah, cool. In fact, a following question. This is from Daniel. We're having here. They ask him a little bit about Miravia, which is in this case is pretty much a marketplace being launched by
Mhm.
Alibaba. This is something actually that yes, this conversation is being more frequent now. You know, what other marketplaces beyond Amazon we could potentially explore. I know, Ricardo, you've been having a look at this Miravia, especially in Spain. So, what are your take on marketplace such as that as well?
Right now, the king is still by far Amazon. However, change from one country to the other. AliExpress, Alibaba, Shein, Aliplaza, Miravia were extremely interesting players in the Spanish market. And in every country, everybody's trying to mimic or to replicate the Amazon success. France, Fnac, uh, Germany, Media Market, Allegro in Poland is doing very, very interesting things. So um, US has Walmart doing extremely well as well. By the way, we can help companies to sell in Walmart US. Um, all the markets are doing something to tackle a specific type of niche. So you have the big Amazon audience, and after that you have certain smaller marketplaces that could be very, very interesting. So I wouldn't say that you're gonna see the same amount of volume in those small markets, but anyway, will be still interesting to see what's the added value, what's the marginal value that adds to your solution. The other
Yeah,
part being D2C, like Shopify, stuff like that.
yeah.
Remember that FBA is a very, very powerful tool to combine all this multi-channel strategy.
Yeah, I will just add my 2 cents on here is you also have to be mindful, guys, and this is something that I also have a lot of conversations around is right now there is a lot of shiny objects when it comes to opportunities out of Amazon, and trust me, some of them are actually worth your time, like of course TikTok, Walmart, but at the same time, you have to be also very methodical when it comes to expanding outside of Amazon. It's not all about a cookie cut approach. Like everything that works for other brands is going to work for you. You need to check the numbers, need to check the potential of the market. If there is actually the type of avatar that is looking to buy your product on the marketplace. If you don't, I feel that a mistake a lot from Amazon sellers. They essentially stop the gas pedal on Amazon because they want to try these other ventures because they're just trying to figure out something new. But I can tell you, like, unfortunately, where really the traffic is right now, and still where most of the sales happen is Amazon. The other marketplaces have to be there to complement your journey, not most likely to replace all your revenue that maybe you're not able to do on Amazon as of now.
I'm just
Cool.
gonna
So
add something super fast. I met one
yeah.
company actually selling the art
Hmm.
DVDs, I mean cinema art DVDs, and they were making a living out of selling in 80 countries around the world just using marketplaces. But it's
Mm,
a kind of business model that worked for them because obviously nobody else. No, not that many people are buying DVDs, physical
Yeah.
DVDs, but they're buying.
Yeah.
So they have to like reinvent themselves and use these platforms in 80 countries, as I mentioned. But for the
Yeah.
majority of sellers, might not be the case. Better focus on the number one in the market and the number two in the market, and maybe the number three, besides obviously the D2C efforts. Mhm.
Cool. We have another question here. This is PPC related. So for you, Elena. Um, so we starting out with ads. Which match type do you go with? Like broad, exact, or try them all? Like, good question. Like, yeah, what do you feel is usually the best depending on the journey? Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. I think you pointed very well depending on the journey, because when you launch a new product, depending on your budget, depending on your keyword, on your niche, you might want to only start with exact if you want to only capture the very focused keyword and audience, right? But if you want to run discovery campaigns, you do need broad and phrase as well, right? And auto, essentially. They all have their different roles. So usually we start with exact and broad and auto, because there's no such thing as an exhaustive keywords research. There will always be some other search terms you can identify in your auto or your broad campaign, or some competitors you haven't really considered as relevant. So yeah, it again depends on your phase, on your product phase. But yeah, if it's a launch, I'd say with all. If it's kind of a relaunch, going more with exact might be better to kind of like take some of that wasted ad spend and control better your budget. So exact would be your better choice here. But at the end of the day, yeah, trying with them all, putting a lower budget. Essentially, you can put higher budget into exact, and then put a lower budget into broad, auto, or phrase.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I think this is it's also very important. I think just to touch a little bit back into what you mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, which is being able to understand how to also segmentate them so they don't compete among themselves, is also important, because yes, it's important to test them all, but you also have to understand the impact the broad may have over your phrase campaign, and the impact that your phrase campaign may have over exact. Because if then you don't have a proper hierarchy in terms of the bids among themselves and proper negation, still you could end up diluting kind of the reach that these campaigns can have. So it's super important that you organize, and that's where sometimes software solution can really be a good implementation, combined of course with the human factor of design the strategy. Because if you lose track of all the campaigns you're doing, broad, phrase, and exact, very fast you end up in duplication of keywords, and that's where things start getting very messy.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. So that's where questions like what do I do about ACOS, high
Yes,
ACOS, come
exactly.
in. Yeah.
Exactly. So we have another one, which is conversion. This is actually, yeah, a question that is very frequent lately, mainly because we know that when it comes to rank, conversion is always the main thing. And people lately is like, okay, if conversion is the main thing, how do I figure out what is the best conversion? So I know this is very specific sometimes to the product, but what have you I found, and this applies to any of you that want to answer, like that maybe it's a good way to go in terms of baselining it, in terms of the value.
If I can go with this one
Yeah.
first, Ricardo. It will really depend on your competition as well. So something you could do is check your product opportunity explorer and see what your market converts at, and see how your conversion rate is in comparison to the competitors. We can talk about great conversion rate. Well, great conversion rate could be 20%, could be 30%, but great conversion rate could also be 1%, depending on the product type. If your product is $100 or more, a 1% conversion rate or 2% conversion rate could be really ideal. So I can't really give really
It's tough.
yeah a rough percentage here, like an average, because yeah, it will really depend on your product. So the best conversion rate will be a conversion rate higher than your competitors, and that's why I think you should compare your conversion rate with the niche average in the product opportunity explorer, or your keyword conversion rate in brand analytics with your competitors conversion rate.
Yeah, something to add in here, and then we can jump into the next one is brand analytics. Another thing that I like to do is not you can have historical data in terms of what your competition's been doing in terms of conversion, especially at the keyword level. Like sometimes you're able to understand what is the impression share and the click share at the keyword level, and that sometimes allow you to understand how you compare among the top 10 sellers on a keyword. And if sometimes you are way off compared to them in terms of your KPIs on that keyword, you start to essentially reverse engineering if your conversion is good, if it's not good. And that's a good way to define also a baseline to understanding how you compare against the competition. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Now we have another question here. I think Ricardo, maybe you want to answer this one. This is actually very interesting. What can you answer to this?
Uh, okay, it's something that we had discussed in the past. What would you do if you want to be an Amazon seller, but you're either started or you don't have, the money the big guns have? Um, two two advices. One would be follow this kind of content online. We agencies as service providers are there to give information and give or try to share our knowledge as much as we can, because basically the idea is to help each other in a certain way to get a better tacos, to get a better conversion, to be better within the difficulty that is the Amazon journey. And second, try to find other sellers. There's nothing better than peer to peer. So check locally if your country or your city has any kind of meetup where you can meet other sellers that are going through the same processes, they're going through the
Which
same
we are doing
problem.
one, by the way, in London next week.
We're
So
doing
that's
one in London. We're based in London, so we're doing one in. Is it this
30 next week on Thursday.
next week in London?
Actually,
So you're in
I'm
London, you
gonna
can
put the
come
information on the screen. Yeah.
to Southwest London to join. There's a lot of those kind of things in America. Some in the German market is quite active as well. And as I say, if you know something going on in your city or in your town or in your country or in your region, try to join them and try to meet like-minded people. Because basically, the a problem that you might have, somebody else has gone through that. So
Yes.
I would
Yes.
say use the power of the community.
Yes. In fact, something. Maybe I can bring it very quickly to the screen because this is actually something I want you guys to be aware of. So as Ricardo said, like of course, as part of our initiative, we really wanna figure out, how we keep adding value to our community. Doing a content like this is of course the first step. But meetups, I think, is something that I strongly believe. I mean, if you guys have seen my social media and everything, I'm all about events. So I'm always very much, connecting with different entrepreneurs and different industry leaders. So essentially that's why we started this meetup. Right now we're already 1,600 people in the group. So the goal with this type of events is effectively to give you the opportunity to meet with people like us, where you can ask questions live. We're doing live events, like next one is on, as you can see, next Thursday in London. Again, you can find all the information on the screen, and you can find it by searching on Meetup. I'm also going to drop down the link on the description. But yes, like I feel to end the answer to that question, the goal, guys, is really try to surround yourself with people that is like-minded, like, people that understand, what is to sell on Amazon. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the conversations I know today is about strategy, but trust me, because I've been there, especially at the beginning. Sometimes what you miss is not strategy. Sometimes mindset. Sometimes being surrounded about around the people that really can give you that extra push or that confidence that you need to not give up. And that's why I feel being part of communities is so important, because sometimes you might have the right tools, you have the knowledge, but you mentally cannot work, and that's where things sometimes go sideways. So very important. Um, cool. We have another question here. Let's have a look. Um, yes, I think this is similar to the question we had for ACOS. So they're asking about tacos now. Like people is looking to us like, what is a number that I know I'm doing okay? Like how do I make sure I'm not, uh, uh, maybe in the wrong direction? Like what is your advice when it comes to that, Madeline?
Um, I feel like for all the questions I've been given kind of like it depends type of
Yeah,
answer.
yeah.
It
Um,
does really depend
but that's
because
PPC. PPC
yeah,
war is always around that. I know.
it will depend on your margin basically and the percentage of your margin you're willing to allocate into PPC. If you're at launch, probably you're willing to spend more money at the beginning. So you want to go a little bit above that margin, then you kind of lower it. So essentially, let's say kind of a 10-15% would be a good tacos, but again, like it really depends on your margin. So let's say your margin is 30% after the Amazon costs and all your cost of goods. So essentially, the product that arrives at Amazon, you have all included the numbers, and then you've got the 30% final margin. Then you're okay to allocate 10% into the tacos. So yeah, it will really depend on your margin, basically. There's
Yeah, of
no
course.
easy answer for that.
Yeah, I would say also another conversation that I've been having lately is tacos sometimes might not be the best metric to understand the performance of your brand, because there are going to be certain brands that if you only have a look at ACOS, tacos, and ROAS, you might think that yes, you're unprofitable, but in reality, the only thing that's happening is that you're actually absorbing the customer acquisition cost upfront, but those people then are coming back buying from you in the long term, and the lifetime value of that client is going to make you profitable. So this is a big conversation with things such as supplements. So pros that have a recurrent purchase behavior, like if you only focus on tacos and NACOs with that type of pro, like trust me, from after 6 months you're gonna give up, because those numbers are gonna be very, very bad. But then once you understand the nature of these products, that it's all about acquiring the customer, making it loyal, making it subscribe and save, and make sure they keep coming back for a year, 2 year. That's where really the profitability around this type of process. So be mindful of that, because a lot of time I jump on calls with people and they're so fixated on tacos and acos. I understand, of course, because you want to make a profit, but sometimes the conversation is more long term. It's not only about what is happening this month with PPC. It's more about what is happening this month with PPC that's going to make me succeed in 6 months from now. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh,
important.
and I'm just realizing if anyone here doesn't know what tacos means, is essentially
Mm.
total advertising cost of sales. So yeah, you probably figured it by now, but essentially it's your spend divided by your total sales, and that is a great metric if you're not tracking that, and leaving aside supplements or lifetime value. If you're looking into profitability, tacos is a metric you should be tracking.
Cool. Now I have here another question. We could start using this for the last one. And by the way, guys, if there is, of course, we have a lot of questions here, so I'm gonna make sure that for those that we didn't answer live, we're gonna keep essentially bringing them back to the following sessions. And as I mentioned, if this is something that you need an answer more urgently, like a private kind of situation that you're really struggling right now, feel free to reach out privately. Like more than happy to jump on a call and make that happen. The question we have here is around again marketplaces. So again, this is something, as I said,
Oh,
people keep
similar
wondering.
similar to the previous one.
Similar, like people
Is
is
it
really wondering, like should I go beyond Amazon? Like, I guess
which
maybe we
means
can bring
that
TikTok to the conversation. Walmart,
exactly that means that we all agree that Amazon is a very difficult platform. So if
Yeah.
people are asking for other platforms,
Hmm.
yes, Amazon is a very difficult one. It's tricky. It's a lot of moving parts that you have to keep an eye on. But yeah, that's the reason why we have this ecosystem of agencies and service providers that can help you putting all the things in place. So, what about the marketplaces? It's pretty straightforward. In the US, it's going to be Walmart and TikTok, maybe Alibaba as well, maybe Shein if you're in that kind of business. Europe, keep an eye on eBay if you're in the UK. Keep an eye on Corte Inglés and Miravia. If you are in Spain, keep an eye on Media Market, FNAC, and the other ones. If you're in Mexico or in Latin America, keep an eye on Mercado Libre as well. They're very, very good on the market. And yeah, basically, hopefully, not hopefully, but one day they will be able to replicate what Amazon is doing very well in terms of logistics normally and in terms of creating traffic. But yeah, definitely a good uh, expansion strategy should consider other marketplaces different than only Amazon. If you're doing Amazon only, good for you, but you're missing what Walmart, for instance, can bring you. Is still using FBA, for instance.
Yeah, I think something I also want to start doing as part of this initiative. Of course, the conversation today is being mainly focused around Amazon, but I'm gonna make sure that in the coming weeks we also maybe only focus the Q&A around, for example, Walmart or TikTok or maybe specific regions. Like I really want to make sure we allow you to to tap into as much knowledge as possible. Given that we are a full service agency, we have experience across all these areas, and hopefully we can give you the opportunity, a safe space to answer those things to you. I think those are some of we're pretty much over 30 minutes. I just want to keep those sessions short, straight to the point. And for those that might still have some questions and didn't we didn't have time to answer live, please feel free to reach out our email business@ecomcy.com. Other than that, guys, anything else you guys want to say or share before we end the session today?
Marlena, you wanna go first?
Um, yes, sure. Thank you. Ladies first. Oh, are we doing that?
Yes.
No, it's been fun, and yeah, I hope it's been helpful to the audience watching. If you guys have any questions, we're always happy to help. And yeah, happy selling.
Yes. Ricardo?
Same here. Happy selling. Amazon is giving you the platform that didn't exist years ago. That we can have this conversation wherever in the world, and your products have been sold somewhere from Japan
Yep.
to Australia to the US or UK. So keep an eye on that. It's not easy. It's not necessarily walk in the park, but you have, as I say, a network of support that can help you in this journey, and we're more than happy to be part of that as well.
Yeah. I would say, just to complete the thought regarding if Amazon is still worth it in 2025 and the consideration regarding our marketplaces. I'm just gonna share a quick anecdote that I went through today. Like, I went to a toy fair here in London. It's one of the biggest ones worldwide, and I had a lot of conversations. Like, I talked to over 30 brands today. And then the first things I was asking, okay, in which channels you're selling, what is the ranges you're currently present, and every single time I came to the final question, which was, which one is your biggest channel? Like 70% of them said Amazon. And I was, wow, like some of these brands, like you would say, is in a lot of retail shops and everything. I would assume would be high street, like the biggest channels, but a lot of them is Amazon. And it's clear that Amazon is definitely a channel that you cannot miss. Like, it's not only by conversation that having with people like them, it's also the statistics in terms of the control that Amazon's having, even when it comes to online against other marketplaces. So Amazon is definitely a place to be. Of course, there is things that you have to consider, such as the fees involved, the complexity of advertising, having a good product. But if you do things right, which if you struggle with that or you don't know how to do it, that's why people like us, Ecomcy, is there to make it happen. I think is definitely the conversation you need to have if you haven't yet, because if not, trust me, your competition most likely is there, and they're eating essentially a traffic source that you're not, and that's revenue. And revenue you can then reinvest into physical locations if you have, or marketplaces, and it's then a snowball effect from there. So definitely don't think Amazon is still a trend that you miss, because I think it's still gonna be here for a long time. So that's everything from us, guys. Thank you so much for everybody that turned live on today's session. As I say, I really want to make sure that with this session we add back as much as possible to the community. Most likely you're gonna see different faces throughout the these live streams. So the goal is to, as I said, really give you the expertise of Ecomcy Fleet at your disposal throughout these live sessions. And remember, anything that you want to discuss in more depth, reach out to business@ecomcy.com, or just go to our website and book a consultation with us. So that's everything. Hope
Thank
you
you for
have
your
an
time,
amazing,
everyone. Have a lovely
yes,
rest of the week.
enjoy. Yes, enjoy the
Thank
rest of the
you.
week, and try to, relax a bit. I know Amazon can be stressful, so sometimes you have to sit back, have a bit of meditation, and go back to a laptop.
There you go.
Those are
Okay.
the best decisions.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.